Hello, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the sixth episode of Character Strengths 24 in 24, which means we're on our sixth character strength. And today we're going to be talking about creativity. So there's a few segments to this. We're going to be talking to Saisha Hayes, who is a YouTuber, musician, and various other credentials actually to her name, and we'll introduce her in a little bit. She was the first person I thought of when I thought, who could I speak to about creativity? Because lately I've been keeping up with her work on Instagram, and I am really quite enjoying how vibey she is. So I wanted to tap into a little bit more about her creativity. Now she's traveling at the moment, so she's very extremely busy. She might have heard a couple of the podcast episodes already. I have encouraged her to do the VIA character strength, but even if she hasn't, I have asked her to maybe hold off on it because we're going to be talking a lot about creativity as it stands, and then maybe we'll get her to do the VIA character strength and see where it actually does land in her 24 character strengths. For me, it stands out as probably one of her signature strengths, but at the end of the day, I'm not a physician, clinician, psychic or anything like that. That's not how we use character strengths. We don't use them as predictability factors, for example, in a way to typecast people. You already know we've done 5 episodes about how we do end up using it, and we'll carry on that journey throughout the rest of the year. The first thing I want to do about creativity, as usual, is talk about it in terms of the VIA character strengths and how they define creativity. We'll talk about how I've been using it in my life so far. I kind of want to, if we get the time, because I'm meeting Saisha in 20 minutes, I kind of want to watch a clip of Sanjay Leela Bhansali's Sakalban, which came out yesterday. And I've been holding off to watch it, not on my phone, because anything to do with Sanjay Leela Bhansali deserves to be seen on the big screen, right? So the biggest screen I have at the moment, or access to at the moment, is my laptop. And the reason why is because he, for me, is one of the biggest inspirations when it comes to creativity. He is a filmmaker, director, producer, musician, and he has produced the likes of some of my favorite Bollywood movies: Bajirao Mastani, Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam, Devdas, Padmavat, Black, and many others. Um, so I kind of want to watch what his latest Netflix series is going to look like. There's been teasers coming out, and already I'm fangirling the most. And maybe while we watch that together, you can get an insight into my thought process when I see those kind of creative pieces of art, if you like. Shall we call them that? Okay, so let's talk about creativity according to the VIA character strengths. The tea is hot. Where are we at? So, it belongs to the virtue of wisdom. Interesting. Creativity in wisdom. I probably would have put it down to transcendence, maybe. Interesting. Okay, but creativity is down to wisdom. Let's find out more. It's the thinking of new ways to do things. It involves producing ideas or behaviors that are original. Okay, kind of thought so. However, originality is not enough. Whatever is created, whether it is an idea or a product, must also be useful or adaptable. For example, you might write a blog post that is unique but because it is entirely gibberish, but that's not going to be useful, so it won't be considered creative. That's quite interesting because I would not have attached usefulness to something being creative. There are two essential components to creativity: originality and adaptiveness. A creative individual generates ideas or behaviors that are novel, and then they make a positive contribution to the individual's lives or the lives of the group. Okay, so I already have a few contentions about that. I like it because creativity is something different, unique, individual, but then it has to prove to be of some kind of use to a group of people. I hear that, and I hear why that could maybe add value to that as a virtue, as especially as a character strength. But does that mean then if it didn't add value that it's not creative? So an example I can think of is recently I have been using the medium of dance, specifically semi-classical Indian dance, which is a lot about storytelling, to raise awareness about the situation in Palestine and in Gaza. And of those, I've done 2 videos so far. The first one received a lot of attention from dancers and dance community, like, wow, this is amazing, beautiful, all that good stuff, praising the novelty and the individualizedness of it. So that was great. The second one was kind of in response to that, as a thank you for all of that, but it didn't really push many more of you into action because my intention behind it was to A, raise awareness, but also B, encourage other dancers to recognize that art is activism. So I posted a second one, and it's still not really kicking anybody into inspiration to think art is activism. There's a few people who are posting things that other people have done, but it was really, there was a call to action, particularly for other creative people and other expressive artists, if you like, to use their skills, talents, magic in order to raise awareness and bring attention and light and consistency. Because, I think the awareness is there for many people. Some people don't want the awareness, so they shut it out. But I do believe that there is a level of consistency that needs to be happening. Otherwise, unfortunately, the voices will just carry on getting lost again, and then the cycle repeats. Um, the cycle of horror repeats essentially as it already is doing. So, it's about kind of tackling that compassion fatigue. That was my intention. Does that mean that it wasn't creative? In my opinion, it was creative because it was new, different, created a bit of shock factor in the dance community, but it doesn't necessarily perhaps tick the box of it being useful slash adaptive if it hasn't done what it was intended to do, i.e., encourage other people to get in. Those are my 2 cents. So I'm not entirely sure how that works. Let me know your thoughts. Does it always have to be adaptive in order for it to be creative? How would you use it as a character strength? Would you consider yourself to be quite creative? Now, how I've used it in my work so far, in terms of teaching, I remember I would always think of novel and new ways that I could pick from a film, a song, or try to use a range of different ways for students to access information rather than just from a textbook, and also get them also to produce work. You are kind of restricted by sometimes what the curriculum tells you to do, or exam dates and mock exams, and also the students themselves who also just want to pass an exam. And that is the nature of the type of government we've had for the last 10 years or more, where over time attitudes change, cultures change. It's certainly kind of different and in some ways similar to what I grew up in myself as a student. But from what I know now that I did not know before, that famous line, I would certainly try to encourage more creativity. um, I'm going to be asking Saisha actually about how she encourages creativity or what she does to keep up that inspiration, because there are times where I hit a creative block and I'm not entirely sure why that is. So it will be good to chat with her and find out a little bit more about her process. So let's go. Let's talk to her.
Go for it. Go for it. Oh my goodness. You
This is
look
the
too
face.
you look too good. Can we just talk about how handsome he looks for a second in this podcast? Like homie has, bro, the hair, the glasses, the shirt. If you were my therapist, okay, I'm not gonna finish what I was gonna say.
And that, dear listeners, is what is called countertransference. And that
Oh
is
my,
why you should never coach or therapize family and friends. So it's lovely to have you, Saisha. Probably should have
lovely to
told
be
you.
here. Yeah.
Just so you're aware, we're definitely recording now, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
They
okay. So
they
you
they they can know that I think you look hot because he does. It's just a fact.
anywho, I don't even know what to do with that. I'm so dead. Anyways,
Okay.
thank you, Sasha. It's so lovely to see you. This is the face of someone. Look at her, lady of leisure, rocks up 8 minutes late to our meeting, calls me on Instagram, like, hey, where are we meeting? Babes, I sent you a Zoom link 3 weeks ago.
I'm not,
So
yeah,
can I just say
honestly.
also say she turned up last Sunday and goes, hey, where are you? I'm in the meeting. Babes, you got the time wrong. So she's either too eager or she's extremely disorganized. I have no idea. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about creativity. First of all, though, how are you? When are you actually coming back to London? Where are you calling from?
I what the heck? He just roasted the absolute shit out of me and then proceeds to be like, anyway, how are you? Okay, look, speaking of creativity, I think being chaotic and being creative are kind of like intertwined. At least for, I don't know, it's my excuse, it's my cover up. But yeah, I've just been around. I'm in Mumbai right now. And I had literally the same problem. I went to meet my friend. He's a journalist, he's a music journalist. And I texted him being like, hey, like, so tonight, he's like, it's Wednesday. I was like, okay. He's like, today's Monday. I was like, oh, right. So like that that kind of thing happens to me. I just like kind of get carried away in whatever I'm doing that I like, I don't know, time and space, flow state. So, but I'm great. How are you? is a better
I'm good.
question.
I'm
What are
good,
you?
thank you.
You're good?
Um, yeah, I when you just spoke about chaotic versus creativity and they kind of go hand in hand, it's really interesting you say that because I do a lot of neurodivergency coaching at the moment. And actually, one of the strengths for people who are neurodivergent, and also I recognize it in myself, is that while sometimes it looks chaotic to a neurotypical world, but our brains know what they're doing. We can't really explain it, but they're doing stuff, and it turns out to be something quite creatively beautiful. And that explains why a lot of creative geniuses have a tinge of neurodivergency within them, whether that's diagnosed or undiagnosed. So that's an interesting point that we'll probably come on to later. But other than that, life is great.
Wait, so
I
do you think I'm neurodivergent? Is that what you're trying to say? If
That's
you
not
do,
what I'm trying to say.
okay, okay.
Because
It's
it's
cool.
my
Or are you saying I'm a creative genius, so I'm neurodivergent? Either one I'll take.
Either
Mm,
one, yeah, exactly that, because we live in a world now where we're talking about neurodivergency as strengths. People's come on, we're moving past that whole
Wait,
stage
so
of
what is,
medicalizing.
wait, wait, actually, but what is it like when you hear the term neurodivergent, what does it actually mean? Like, what is the clinical?
Already, I'm so happy that I have you because I'm just like, this is someone who's actually going to ask me questions as well, and it's going to be a free-flowing comment. When you said, I actually said to Saisha, wait, so I said to Saisha, hey, do you want to be on my podcast about character strength? She was like, yeah, let's go for it, put it in. And I was like, wait, like, do you even know what a character strength is? Like, do you even know what the podcast is? She said, who cares, bro? It's going to be me and you vibing, chatting shit on a podcast. It's going to be amazing. And, 10 minutes in, it already is. I love that you asked that question.
I,
Clinically, neurodivergency kind of describes people whose brain differences affect how their brain works. Okay, if you like that,
okay,
that's what something I've just Googled now. Some people have a contention with the term neurodivergency because the term divergency means it diverts from what is sometimes considered the norm. And if we are going always going to be accepting the definition of what a norm is. Sorry, if we're going to be accepting the definitions of things according to whatever the norm is, then we're pretty much accepting these archaic, patriarchal, white supremacist based definitions of
yeah.
many things in life, right? So a lot of
Yeah,
people
well, it's
aren't
kind of insulting, isn't it? Because you're basically saying like you're not normal. When normal is subjective, first of all, nobody's normal. Whether you're
exactly that.
neurodivergent or not, it's very like subjective. So,
Exactly. And that's
yeah.
why people have some contentions with the word neurodivergency. Neurodiversity, some people prefer, but under that bracket comes things like dysgraphia. Oh my gosh, did I say that right?
I don't even know what
Dyscalculia,
that is. Oh yeah,
dyslexia,
dyscalculia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what that is.
um, autism, ADHD, Tourette syndrome. So there's a
Does
whole
BPD
range.
come under that?
BPD, but what's that? Bipolar
Borderline personality disorder.
borderline personality disorder. I don't think that does come under a neurodivergency. I think that comes under a psychological disorder. But for all the listeners out there, this is just a timely reminder to make sure that you are listening to people who are qualified and have the accreditations in terms of what they're talking about. I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychologist either. So one to look into and probably have a research into ourselves. We are, however, going to draw the focus back onto coaching. Or rather character strength as a coaching tool. Any ideas why I thought of you as soon as I got to creativity?
I'm crazy. No, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, tell me.
I want to be humble and be like, I don't know. But in my head, the ego part of me is like, yeah, of course. I'm like,
I love that.
um,
I love, you know what? I just love the fact that you verbalize what everyone probably internally battles all the time. Like, wait, should I be authentic or should I be humble? Because as much as we put humility and humbleness on a pedestal, we love that as a society, right?
yeah,
Sometimes too much
definitely.
of it is a bit farcical, and it's a little bit like, you're just being
Yeah.
fake.
Especially
So
in a society where you have to constantly sell yourself. Like in job interviews and whatever, like even in like when you're meeting acquaintance, like a lot of it is like just talk. I've noticed in interactions. So sorry, that was such a this will happen a lot in this podcast.
I really
We'll
feel
just
like it
I'll
already. Oh
just
dear
go
God.
go off on tangents. Okay, any idea why you thought of me? I guess because I'm a creative person or I really like creativity.
Absolutely. And that anyone who doesn't know you, and let's be real, actually, we're talking for the last 7 minutes or so, like we're the best of buds and we've grown up together almost, right? But
Yeah,
we've known each other for all of face to face, 2 meetings, and a few
crazy.
months following each other on Instagram
Yeah.
and just generally being each other's, hype friends like, yes, girl, first YouTube video, come on, etc. So technically, we don't actually know each other deeply, but I think that's just a testament to how much creativity comes out of you. Did you get a chance to do the character strength survey? It's okay if you didn't.
I didn't. I'm so sorry. Bad girl.
It's okay because I think this poses a good question for us when most of my podcast guests have been, they've done the survey and then they come and we talk about something that we have in common. But I think it's kind of nice to do it the opposite way around and find out maybe creativity isn't even in your top signature strengths. Maybe it's like further lower, fairly lower down. Have
Can
you
you
listened?
imagine
I
how
know.
embarrassing that would be?
Well,
You
not
have a
really, because
guest on? No, I'm kidding.
yeah, absolutely. Please, there's no shame. I think it would actually be quite telling about how even if something is not your top signature strengths, you can still exuberate it in many ways. But my prediction is that it may well be in your top strengths, but we'll do that later on. You're going to give us some
Okay.
time to actually do that survey. Kiki.
You have such
So
a side note, new tangent. You have such a lovely voice. You have a very, you should be on radio or like TV, like for real. Your voice is so, इतना silky है भाई. Butter, Amul. Okay, go on. Sorry. This this podcast is gonna be like Saisha compliments you for how many
I feel like
minutes
it's just going to
straight.
be Saisha's podcast after a while, and I'm the guest.
No. Okay, sorry, go on. We're gonna do the survey later. Okay, TK. Fine.
Brilliant. So backstory for all the listeners. Me and Saisha actually met, I would say we met in a creative place actually. We met on a fake dance floor. Do you want to tell the story or shall I? Actually, you know what? You tell the story that you tell people that you told people on set, and then I'll tell the actual story.
What does that mean? What the heck? What
You
the
you
heck
were
does
quite
that
creative in
mean?
that as well. For no, I have no idea why, but you were quite creative as well in that.
No.
So people would come up to
Hat.
you and be like, "Oh, like so how did you guys meet and stuff?" And you'd be like, "Oh, we've grown up together." It was
Yeah.
complete straight face. We went to school together, blah blah blah. And I'm just there like,
Yeah.
huh?
But we did. Why are you lying to your listeners right now? We did go to school together.
Okay, what did
And
we
he's
study?
just like, he's, we studied art together. He's really
Excuse me.
good. Art. We studied art. You know, he's just embarrassed of me, you guys, so he pretends like we didn't grow up together.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Is there what's the name of my first childhood pet?
Spooky.
Oh, interesting. Simran, listening to this, big shout out to you, Pookie
Oh my
Bear.
God. Spooky bear. Okay, sorry, you tell the
So
story. You tell the story.
yeah, so the actual story is I've never had a childhood pet. She's chatting the absolute most. We met in November 2023 by chance on a fake dance floor. We were both supporting artists for the BBC production of Hamlet,
We were
and
the
we
main
were
stars. Let's not say supporting. It was starring us, but okay, continue.
okay, and that's why you won't see our names in the credits when that movie comes out. It was a 2 day scene of a wedding scene, and they had, they were placing the supporting artists on the tables as wedding guests do, but then they also had a couple of people on the dance floor, just mingling and talking to other people. So I was placed with another lady, and then Saisha and Taz were a little bit further away. And my gosh, did this girl like to talk and vibe? And don't make that face. It wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a bad thing because it was your energy, because of that warm energy. We started talking, and then she just latched on and wouldn't let go, for goodness sakes. And I love that. But before that, this whole thing becomes about me. Um, this podcast was essentially around the VIA character strengths, which is a group of strengths that everybody has in varying degrees. And I thought of you to talk about creativity because of my knowledge of us when we met was that you love dance, you freestyle a lot, you love theatre, you're quite a theatrical person as it is. But then I was privy to the world on Instagram where you're a musician and you're, creating original pieces. And I really wanted to tap into that. Do you consider creativity to be one of your top strengths and why?
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, it's gonna be really funny when we do the survey, and if it's not there, I would say, yeah, I do think. You know what the thing is? I actually think, see, this is the problem. You'll give me a question and I'll answer with a question. I think creativity is can be anybody's strength in the way that like a lot of the times people view themselves as either they are an artist, they are creative, or they're not creative. like let's say, I don't know, they're a doctor or they're a lawyer. They'll be like, oh, I'm not an artist, but they'll love to cook. That's art. You're cooking, you're making something, that anything that has to do with making something, providing your own perspective, digesting old information, like reinventing the wheel in some way is creativity. This chair that I'm sitting on, that's create someone made that. You know what I mean? So we're like surrounded by it. But yeah, I would say that I think creativity is my strength, but it's mostly my strength just because it stems from like a need to express myself. So I think that's why. Like it's an outlet for me to like talk about the world or talk about things I'm going through, like observe. That's why it would be a strength to answer your
Just
question. I don't know if that answered it,
It
but
did, and it actually
yeah.
inspired so many other questions. I loved when you said about when you recreate the wheel in some way, that's creativity. And interestingly, when I went on the VIA website, I just recorded it on for the intro for this piece. It says that creativity is considered a virtue of wisdom, and some of the key features of that is to do something in a new, novel, original way, but also in a way that it is useful to others
Mm,
or in a way that it's
yes.
adaptable to others. Now, I posed a bit of a question to the listeners about whether that is true or not, because I feel like just because something might not be useful to others, does that necessarily make it not creative? And I'll give you an example. I don't know if you've seen my recent two dance videos, the one on Omahi and the second one I posted a couple of days ago for International Women's Day on Audi Chile. Did you get a chance to see them?
I'm so sorry. I've literally just been partying
Not a
nonstop.
not a true fan. But
No, I will go and I will watch them right now.
hit the notifications bar so you're updated every time I post and so on. And that
I
goes out
will
for the
do
listeners
that.
too. Make sure you hit that notification bell icon and so on. But in anyways, I kind of spoke about it in the introduction where I believe that art is activism. And with everything that's happening around the world and in Gaza especially, I'm very passionate about that cause. So I'm kind of wanting to inspire my fellow dancers to use your skills. Some of them have held workshops to raise some money for it, but then the momentum dies down. And I'm not saying that this is something that you have to do every single day, every hour of the day, but at least, if you've been given a platform and you've been given the skills in which that you can have an influence on a large number of people, then draw their attention to something like that. And you said, it's like an outlet. It's a way for you to express. It's a way for you to get those feelings out. Now, for me, those videos did okay. They got the views, but it hasn't done what I intended to do, which is get more people to create their own versions. Like to
Right.
use their skills in some way, in a novel way, to be able to raise awareness in some way. So I have to ask the question, is creativity just about doing something in a novel way and so that it has to be useful to others? Can it not just be something that's novel? Does that mean that I was not very creative because those two videos didn't do what it had intended to do?
No, I don't think, I think the minute you start like looking for external measures of creativity, you've kind of lost the plot. Personal, in my own personal experience, like whenever, and anyone who makes videos or music or anything, and it's so hard, like you'll make something and you'll think it's freaking fantastic, right? And then you look at the views or the streams and you're like, oh, it must not be that good because it didn't get this thing that you initially created internally out of some kind of experience you had, some thought you had. You wanted to raise awareness or get people to do XYZ, right? That was for yourself in some way, stemmed from you. Then the external thing didn't match that internal thing and you get disappointed or you get sad or whatever. Doesn't mean that it's not creative. I'll give you an example, commercial films, okay? I think a lot of Bollywood, a lot of commercial big hits are like formulaic. They know, let's get this nepo baby, let's get that person, either we'll do a huge item number, this boom, box office hit. Would I necessarily, it's made money, it's commercially successful, it's got the external thing that they wanted, but is it necessarily creative? I think novelty and originality come first. Obviously,
Mm,
when you have a message and when it resonates with others, that's like the most beautiful thing ever, because now your art is not just for yourself, but like you can see it transcend levels. The same way I'm sure you've had certain actors inspire you, certain musicians inspire you. So there is that element. But I think the primary thing of creativity is that it's novel. That's why it's creative, because it's out of the box, because it's open-minded, because it's free flowing, because it's different, right? So don't get disheartened by those reels.
I love your take on, and I love the analogy that you gave with the commercial films. It really resonates with because you know I'm a movie lover.
Yeah. Pura
So
filmy bhai.
she says that she forced me to make a TikTok on Hera Peri. Do you remember that? No, dear God.
Yeah.
And the Kabhi Khushi
It
Kabhi Gum one.
was, it's backless.
It's backless.
It was so good, man.
But
You
I
need
think
to come here. Why aren't you coming here? Come here, you and me will try for Bollywood. Come, we'll share an apartment. That's kind of why
yeah.
I'm here.
Oh, okay, more on that in a little bit.
No, no, nothing's happened. Nothing. Okay, go on, go on, go on.
I'm going to come back to that. But I
Oh
really
my
like the
God.
analogy you made about the commercial films, etc. Because they've got the perfect combination. But would you necessarily say they're creative? Probably not. And you know something? This makes me think about Rocky Aur Rani Ki Prem Kahani, right? Everyone knows that
Yeah,
a
yeah,
huge film. Loved it so much. It was the first episode of my podcast that I recently launched called Screening Minds. It's about screening. It's about psychosocial themes in some Bollywood films. Very much combining my love for cinema and shameless plug here for all the listeners. If you haven't listened to that podcast, get on with that as well as Bollywood. So they can kind of combined. And I actually said that movie is not that like it's nothing wacky out of the box. It's boy meets girl. They come from very different backgrounds. They go through some troubles and they end up getting married in the end. When you think about
yeah,
it, whoop-de-doo, what's the big deal there? But the way the certain parts of it was done was quite novel, out of the box.
yeah,
The way that they wrote some of the characters was slightly different to how the norm
yeah.
was, and it did hit, but it wasn't necessarily crazy different. I don't know if I'd call it creative anymore, to be honest, because that was from the way that you've described that.
I think there's also that middle ground that commercially successful films do, where they try and appear indie. Do you know what I mean? Like they're
Mm.
not, and this is no shade, like where they know, for example, like Bareli Ki Barfi. You've seen that
Oh
movie,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I
Those
liked
kind
that.
of movies, right? Have you noticed like Bareli Ki Barfi? What other movies are like that? I don't know, any Rajkumar, those kind of movies, but they're
Yeah.
hits, but they're also, they have that indie little
What's the one that he
sprinkle.
did with Bhumi Pednekar? The one where they were both gay and in a convenience marriage.
Oh, yes, yes,
Badai Do or
yes.
something. Yeah, Badai.
Yes,
Yeah, that
that
was quite
one.
good.
That
Really good,
was,
actually.
it was. So those, I really like that Bollywood has kind of found this interesting place of being commercially successful, but
Mm.
also like a little indie. Like sometimes the shots will look like a Wes Anderson still, and you're like, oh, this is Bollywood. And it's ooh. And so that's kind of interesting. They have this like in between ground. In terms of what you're talking about with Rocky or Rani, I completely agree. It
Mm.
wasn't that like crazy, but it was also different, a little
Mm.
different. But it was also this formulaic at the same time. So it has that middle ground.
Now, I really appreciate everything you're saying about how just because it doesn't land with an audience doesn't necessarily mean that it shouldn't take away from your feeling of it being creativity and what it did to serve you and so on. But if we go back to the beginning of our conversation, we said that creativity creates more creativity and it's like an ongoing cycle. You get inspired. But I feel like that only really occurs perhaps if you get the validation from it. So, if you're trying to make it big, let's say, for example, you with your Bollywood dreams in Mumbai right now, is creativity enough?
Oh my God. Is creativity enough to what? To be an actor or to propel you or what? Wait, what's your
Let's
question? What is the exact question?
let's use is creativity enough to get you where you want to be, to propel you into your dreams?
As an
Yeah.
artist,
Let's go with that. Yeah.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, okay. See, I said my initial gut response was like, absolutely not. And then I like had to think about it. Unless you're like genuinely like a genius, like I'm talking about like a creative like genius, which let's I don't know. I think creativity is really important, but just like in every career, one skill isn't enough to make you successful in that industry. I think you have to be really persistent and you have to be hardworking and you have to do more than you say. Like a lot of people, oh, dude, I'm a musician. Literally in uni, I give this example all the time because it pisses me off. I'll meet people, oh, yeah, I make music too, or I'm a musician. Oh, how many years have you been doing music? 6, 7 years. Oh, cool. Where can I listen to your music? Nowhere. I'm like, okay, I've just met you. Let's say I wanted to work with you. You have nothing you can show me. Do you know what I mean? It's just like talk.
Mm.
You have to, talking is great, but more than talking is doing. That's like 90% of it is to keep doing, keep doing. Uh,
consistently.
consistently. You have to keep, and it's hard, man, because it's like the thing is on the surface, whenever someone sees like, for example, you got this Hollywood thing, right? You're working on this set, right? So someone who doesn't know you will see that on the surface. They'll say, "Oh wow, that's so cool. He got that on the set." I know you and I know the story that, okay, you went to this set, you got inspired, you see, there was a whole process, right?
Mm,
There were little things that led up to that moment. But the external world, people who aren't artists or people who don't know you that well, they only see that one W. They don't see all of the other songs that you made that didn't do well or that were crap or all of the auditions that you went, like they don't see it takes so many L's to just get one W. That's why you have to keep doing it and keep improving and keep doing it. So I guess like
mm.
ambition and like hard work, definitely hard work.
It's speaking like a true influencer there, where they're always like, they have their beautifully curated bedrooms and their influencer lifestyle, and they're like, you just gotta keep going, bro. You gotta just shoot the video. Just shoot the damn video. Just shoot that video. Doesn't matter. Don't wait for perfection. And I think people get disillusioned by that because they're thinking it's easy for you to say when you're saying that from your very curated backgrounds and top recording equipment and mics and so on, because nobody, sadly, shows the process. Nobody shows the process, and that's one of the on my socials. I much prefer to show the process and how messy it is. But then the process is not what gets the views and the likes and the rewards, if you like. It's this double-edged sword, you know. Like even we ourselves, we end up watching the stuff that's perfectly curated because of that dopamine hit, and oh, it makes us feel so good. And it makes me wonder, where is that little bit in the puzzle that we're missing that propels a person into it?
You know, propels a person into creating or into starting. Like what is like
I would say
into
well, they're both the same thing. I guess
I
really,
guess
it's not
yeah.
really a question. I'm probably just thinking like venting out loud kind of thing about.
No, I like it. No, I like what you're saying though. It's really true. Like about the process, showing the process. Yeah, same. I show the process of how I make my songs or whatever. And even, okay, also we should talk about this gatekeeping. Oh my God. Creative gatekeep. It's actually so annoying. Like, I don't know why. Oh, I have such a funny story about, oh my God, you're not ready. Okay. I think, well, obviously every industry is really competitive, but you asked me like to be an artist. I'm nowhere near where I want to be yet. You know, the ambition is just, but oh my goodness. So, so I went to a gig in, not a gig, like an open mic thing in Mumbai, right? I go to Ori in London and, you know, like so talented, these musicians in London, like you just hop on stage, they're freestyling, whatever. I met this person and we agreed like this is stranger. They play guitar. They're like, okay, yeah, like I'll play guitar and you do your thing, you rap. So I was like, bet, say less. We got up on stage. This person would not let me do my thing, bro. They would just not let me do it. Like literally, finally, I had like some 10 measly seconds. And I thought I was imagining it that like they were deliberately like singing over me. And then all my friends who had come to watch were like, bro, what the heck just happened? That person wouldn't let you sing. I was like, yeah, I know. Creative gatekeeping. Oh, now I'm going on a tangent. Creative gatekeeping is
Go for it.
so annoying. That's why people don't want to start because nobody even tells you how to start. That's the biggest thing. If I meet someone who's like, hey, I really want to get into music or I really want to start making music, what should I do? I whip my laptop out and I show them. I'm like, literally anybody can do it. Look, do you have, well, not obviously you need certain resources where you're born. I acknowledge the privilege that comes with being able to like create things. You know what I mean? Like, oh, art is a luxury in some sense. So, but yeah, I'll show you the steps. A lot of people they just don't want to show, and I don't know why. Like, it would take you like people I know who could easily give me the name of someone. I'm not asking them like give me this opportunity or anything. I'm just like, hey, could you give me this person's email? Oh, bro, like it's not that deep.
Yeah, I see that. I hear and see that a lot on. So on this film set, it's my first one being on like such a long project. I mean, it's only 7 weeks, but according to the rest of the people who are seasoned, it's very low budget. I'm like, mate, I'm getting spoiled here. I'm not having to pay for food for 7 weeks. Are you serious? Coming from this working class boy, like you're saving me so much money. Please, I'm loving this. But for them, it's like this is very low budget. Can't believe how like how just unbothered they are. If you were working on a Disney film, they'd be so strict about X, Y, Z, blah, 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 blah. So, I've had some teething issues getting adjusted to it. I see systemic, racism and sexism around as well. Not on an individual, but it's definitely systemic. And that obviously filters down to individualized where they don't recognize it. And a lot of it is unconscious. So, I see all of those, but and that gatekeeping is so prevalent from the minute you step foot. Don't talk to the stars, don't disturb the directors, don't da 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 da. And essentially, all these guidelines are saying, make sure you think before you take up space. And I'm like, that is
Wow.
such a double-edged sword for someone who's trying to make it in the creative industry where you're being told, because I look at
Yeah.
actually the stars who are working on this project, and they are not afraid to take up space because they're the stars, right? And the way
Yeah.
that everyone else treats them, though, is, oh, you want a mocha? I'll make sure to grind the coffee beans myself. With my
Wow.
bare feet. It's that kind of attitude versus
Damn.
if I was to say, you want to, sorry, what was that? Eh. And so when you're treating people so differently, and when you're making it very clear who deserves to take up space and who doesn't, it makes it quite hard for anybody to perhaps even think about being creative. And I think that I suppose this tangent here takes us back to the theme of this whole podcast about character strengths and creativity. The challenges there I definitely see are a systemic thing. And actually, in the introductory, in the introduction, I spoke about being creative as a teacher. It was wonderful. One wanted to always bring in different and novel ways of teaching and getting the students to create different things. But as a system, we kind of quash that creativity because everything is so exam
Definitely.
focused and everything is so results focused and get to the point, and are you going to be able to write this in an essay and so on, and it's like
This.
that does not serve
This.
so many of our students. And that's why if we go back to our beginning thing about neurodivergency and
Yeah.
neurotypicality, what we're doing is just creating a norm that is set by a
Yes.
system of
Yes.
older white men essentially.
I absolutely adore every single thing you just said about like the education system and creativity. So I did IB, like International Baccalaureate, and like even like okay, we get I mean for those who don't know, it's like the all what do you say? The not A levels. You do like 6 subjects. You have to do a language, you have to do humanities, you have to do math, whatever, whatever. But like in high school, I seriously noticed high school and even at university, it's like creativity isn't promoted. Like it is very much like, can you can you do this task XYZ, you know? But I did like they not everybody's brain works the same way. It doesn't mean that you're dumber than the next person just because you don't think that way. If anything, I think if you're able to think differently and see something new, that's a sign of intelligence. Being creative is actually, it takes a lot of intelligence because it means you have already digested the old information and you've come up with a new way to do it. So, like, yeah, about the education system and stuff, I think that definitely needs to change. There needs to be different ways to test things. But I was pretty lucky in the sense that even though I was doing IB and all of that, I think IB really prepped me for uni. Like, I don't know how good, like, what the structure of A levels are, but my friends who did A levels versus my friends who did IB at uni, I noticed the difference in their writing. Like, I think, no shade. This is not me throwing shade. It's just like an observation. I think,
Mm,
like, with A levels, at least like in what I observed, and various people confirmed it, it was very much like they teach you memorizing, or it
mm,
seems like there's a specific structure. This is how you did it. But in IB, it was like, why do you think the way that you do? Like,
mm,
okay, critically analyze this. Like, offer. So thinking like that was really helpful when I got to uni. The work was much easier, like because I already knew how to do it. Some of my friends didn't even know what citations are. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, like how do I cite this? I was like, oh, I've been doing this since like 15, 16.
mm.
So I don't, what do you think, like A levels? How is that with creative? Like you did A levels, right? I'm guessing.
I did A levels, but I also taught A levels for 8 years. So I can 100% relate to everything you're saying. And I think as a teacher, you're in that middle ground of you have to follow the curriculum and what the government want you to do, versus I also know that this is not the right way because I had the privilege of teaching sociology as well, which is all about
Wow.
the world and creative thinking or I should say critical thinking for sure.
Critical
And
thinking, yeah.
criticality and creativity, they're like cousins, man. They have to go together
Definitely,
because they're
definitely.
related. And
Yeah.
I think ironically one of the topics in sociology is education, and we criticize the role of education, how it's taught, the Marxist view versus the feminist view versus the functionalist view and so on. So the students love content, and they used to love my classes, they used to love our department and come into the subject, but they also know that this is so ironic because everything we're criticizing is exactly the path that we're following.
Following,
And
yeah.
then, I see it at university as well with the way that kids have to. You're saying they don't know how to cite. I used to have to tell my students age 17, 18, what the difference is between an index and a contents in a textbook.
Oh
So it's
wow.
because we're not teaching them life skills, we're teaching them memorization. This is what you need to know for
Okay.
an exam. You need to learn, you need to be able to write 4 paragraphs for this essay in that way because that's how it's marked. So, I understand the need for a standardized procedure, but I also feel that this level of standardizing is not helpful for anyone, and it does, stifle creativity. We don't then leave those students much time to do creative things in their own lives because we're giving them so much homework and so much pressure from these exams in this school. And I just think, when they're home, they're also young people. They're still developing physically, mentally, emotionally. What
Yeah.
time and resources do they have left for creativity?
Being a teenager was rough, man. Everything was so intense.
Mm,
Ooh,
you
tough
feel it more.
times. Yeah, I think so.
I want to take us
Definitely.
over into the realm. You spoke about your creative process. So I want to speak a little bit about what your creative process looks like. And this might be a good moment to just share with you that I've done a bit of research, not extensive, but I went onto your YouTube channel and I saw your very first video. What is and I wrote out questions for it actually. What is phantasmagoria?
Oh
That's my
my
first question.
goodness. Oh my goodness. Phantasmagoria. Wow. I feel like do you know Nardwar?
I
You
don't.
know Nardwar, he's like this music journalist who's Canadian. He always has videos with like really famous musicians and he'll ask them something that they're like, oh my God, like they're like, how do you know that? But I kind of feel like a Nardwar moment. Anyway, okay, what is that? That was a little edit I made, I think in high school, Phantasmagoria. I think Phantasmagoria, my friend gave me the title name because I was like, what do I call this edit? And it was like some kind of illusion, a fantastical I don't know. Now I need to Google it. But I think it was that. Wait, let me look it up, but
Because it
I'm
was.
pretty yeah.
So when I watched it, I appreciate that it was done so long ago. You might not remember what the final product was like, but it was this kind of um
I
oh
remember. I
oh you
remember
remember.
each single one of my creations. I
Oh, I love
remember.
that for you. I shouldn't have assumed. I apologize for that. But
No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding. I found it says a sequence of real or imaginary images, like that scene in a dream. There
100%.
you go.
Okay, I'm glad you googled that and defined that because the entire video gave me that vibes. I was just about to describe it as some other realmy deep thoughts, subconscious thoughts, but also the thoughts that are not that subconscious because we're all thinking them every single day, but we just don't really have the courage to talk about them. And then the montage of videos and pictures used, I was like, it kind of feels like a bit of a teenage dream, and there's something bittersweet about it.
Oh my God, I love that. I love that so much.
What was
I
your
feel
intentionality behind it? Tell us a little bit more about the creative process behind that, if you remember.
Oh my God, I feel so seen. Here I was thinking you're gonna ask me about music, but yes, please ask me. Okay. I think you know what it is. I love to create videos, like as well. Like I was super into film in I was into film and music, and as you said, like anything creative. So the primary thing when I create music or when I create film, especially, is I like to evoke some kind of like emotion. Not always
Mm,
intent. It's never like I sit down and I'm like, I'm gonna make you feel this way. It's never like that. It just happens like I sit down, I start editing, I add like some music. I love to show, I love how human experience is very subjective, but also universal. Like we're all kind of like living in our heads, going about our life, experiencing different things, and we think, oh my God. But then when you put it out there, other people are like, oh no, I also had this experience. I also think about the big questions, blah, blah, blah. I think it was just, I am very existential, but I was definitely way more existential as a teenager. I was like, what's the point of anything? It was kind of like that, maybe.
mm,
Yeah.
okay. Nice. So I like it. It's like a snapshot of what you're going through at a given time, I guess. Now,
Yeah.
if it's okay, can I ask you about a few of your other questions?
Yeah, yeah,
A
yeah.
few of your other videos, sorry. One of them
Sure.
is My Body is My Canvas,
Oh,
which is one of your
yes.
recent ones, slam
Yeah.
poem. That
Yes.
was so I played it and my brother was next to me actually and I was playing it out loud because who uses earphones when you're a millennial? You play
Yeah.
everything out loud, right? Um
Yes.
and he's a bit of a jokester, so every time I'm listening to something, even if it's a podcast, he'll do some kind of interpretive dance to go along with the lyrics. And I remember when
Oh.
he like there were some lines that you hit which were bars and he was just like his eyes widened up and he was like
Oh
this
my
one this
goodness.
hits bad, this hits hard. Tell us a
Oh
little
my
bit about your
goodness.
process for My Body Is My Canvas. What
Oh
was
my
it and how did you
God.
get creating that?
Okay, I don't know how like TMI or like if this is a bit dark, but like basically this guy grabbed my ass at a club and then I like this was in London. And then like it was some creepy uncle in a Bollywood club. And then like I like what turned around and I like hit him. I was like, what the? And then we started beefing and he's like, no, I didn't, whatever. Anyway, and then I wrote that poem when I got home because I was really upset. And I was just thinking, like, man, it's not the last time that I'm gonna be touched without without wanting to be touched and whatever. So the poem just kind of came from that. And I also thought it was really interesting how just one space, right? One subject matter, a woman's body, can be used to explore so many topics like where desire meets disgust, where fingertips gently graze above the knee, where consciousness, like, so I just started writing that little poem and it's on YouTube because I think I auditioned, right? I auditioned, I put the link for the Roundhouse Poetry Slam thing. So that's why it was on YouTube. I also really wanted to make this a film. So I actually composed like cool like electronic music and I have an idea for how I want this film to look. So if you want to do that when I'm back in London, it's a dance film. It's like, yeah, I really, really want to make it. And so that's why that is on YouTube because of the just the experience of that. I write I actually got into music through writing. Like I was used to write really shitty poems when I was 12. I have a book. It's called Muddy Sneakers on Amazon. But those are really bad teenage angsty poems. But yeah. So I think writing is a great way to let things out. So that's what that was.
Okay, so a few things there. I'm really sorry that happened to you, man, and also the fact that you're sharing it with us. I feel grateful for your vulnerability, and also just feels like worth reminding anyone who's listening that yes, there these things do happen, and yeah, this it's always hard because I'm trying to, as a man, handle the sensitivity around it, but also not shy away from the fact that this is a platform and actually we should be talking about those things. And as triggering as they are, I hope that listeners will take the care that they need to and the right care that they need to and so on. And I really appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing that space with us. Equally, though, you let me know if you want that segment to be cut out from the edit, and we'll be more than
No,
happy
no,
to do that.
it's fine. I don't mind. You know what? I think before maybe I would have been like, oh no, like but no, I want to talk about it because I realized something like I didn't even know that it's illegal. Like it's actually illegal for a guy to grope you. I thought like I mean, obviously everyone will be like, obviously it's illegal, but like I didn't know it's genuinely illegal. So if somebody touches you, like this is to anybody, men, women, anybody, however you identify, if somebody touches you in some kind of way and you don't like it, it's literally not okay. Like it's not funny. I had in uni, I could talk about, I think the reason that poem came out, so whatever, I've had so many experiences about this. And you can take literally any random 5 women off the street, no matter their race, no matter their age, and like they will relate to feeling uncomfortable in their own vessel, right? Like that's so disturbing. The fact that the very vessel that you walk in and you experience life in is subject to any looks, stares, and every kind of thing. So that's kind of why that poem came out. And in uni, also like in high school, this kind of thing would happen. Like at a party, a guy would just like grab you in some way, and it's like, oh, it's so funny, and I would make a deal out of it. Like this guy grabbed my ass. This is a funny story, actually. This one is funny. Sorry, it's just connected.
You said that about the last time, and it didn't sound that funny. So this this is
Okay,
now
okay.
turning into a dark humor.
The last one wasn't funny. I was super like I went and I wrote that poem, but like this one is low-key a little bit more funny because he grabbed my so we're taking like a group picture and then like the flash goes on and he like grabs my ass. This is at some uni party. I go ahead and I grab his ass. The light drains from his eyes. He's like, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "You know why I did that. Why did you do that?" And then if he was like, if he had said sorry, whatever, it would have been calm. I would have moved on because I also grabbed him back. And he was like, oh no. Then what pissed me off, he did it on purpose. He started being like, oh no, I really care about your consent and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, ew. And then apparently, like the next year, I didn't even know this girl, but she was like, oh, you stayed in this building. I was like, yeah. She's like, were you on? I was like, I was on floor 2 or something. She's like, oh, you're that girl that made like a big deal about somebody like doing that, right? When guys do that to me, it's like fine. Like, I don't really care. Like, why would you make a big deal about that? She made me feel so bad. I was like, and then she saw my face and she was like, oh, yeah, it's the right thing. Bruh, it's my body. If I don't want to be groped, I'm so sorry. Like, those are my standards. What the fuck?
You know, and it's sad that, you know, as you're saying this, I'm thinking it was International Women's Day 2 days ago, and I'm like, I love the way that you described it as this vessel. I sometimes describe our bodies as the home, the one and only home that we have from birth till death, and that's why it's so important to take good care of it. Just like you would for your own home, you'd keep it clean, you'd paint it, you'd furnish it, you'd put the locks on it and keep it secure and so on. You know, you take all those measures that you needed to protect it from inside and out, right? And the fact that all of these negative experiences inspired a creative process for you. And then we also see the glass ceiling that exists for women in the creative industry, the pay gap, the lack of opportunities, the fact that female directors and females in the creative industry in general are just not rated, or even, you know, there's been stories of people, women in particular, who have to earn their way to stardom, if you like, by doing certain sexual favors, for example. And
Yeah.
it's like there is literally no chill for women, even in creativity.
Nah, dude, this industry is like, bro, people be safe out there. I had this one journalist like willing to write about me or something. And then they were like, yeah, like come back to my hotel. And I was like, huh? I was like, no. I was like, sorry. And then they're like, well, like I can do this for you, I can do that. And then I just replied to them being like, sorry, I'm not for sale. And then uska to movie ban gaya. He's like started getting sure. Maybe cut this part out. Maybe edit this part out because I don't actually nah, let me expose that. His name is no, I've literally come on your podcast and I think I've about like roasted like already 3 people. It's so
But
chaotic.
you know what? And this is the thing. Like, at the end of the day, the choice is yours, and so on. I have like 3 listeners, probably 3 consistent listeners. But hey, we start somewhere, right? This is all about sharing the process. Um, I think all that does is just remind you. I'm glad you said it because I'm learning a lot about the industry as I'm going into it and I'm learning more about it. People are saying things like, you know, there are posts out there which say things that are not okay in auditions, meeting at hotel rooms, doing private calls and private meetings in private places, etc. Auditions should never be like that. They are public. They are, you know, there should be a panel, if you like, of a mixture of people in a public space in a well-known time, and you know, so the things that you're sharing here, I think are crucial reminders for anyone that you may want to get somewhere with your creativity or with your career or whatever, but not at the expense of your safety, in essence. The other
Yeah.
thing that you know, on a more positive note, I think the industry has come further in many ways, and I'm happy to give an example from the film set that I'm working on currently. Months before I was even on there, they said, you know, there will be a love scene. Are you going to be okay with that? It does impact whether or not you'll get the position, because if you say directly no, then you know they're going to need to find someone who is okay with that, and so on. So there are repercussions there. Now I was okay with it. I said, fine, let's go for it. It'll be a good thing to practice. It'll be a good thing to learn about. Me being my love of learning mode. Oh my God, I just want all the learnings in one go. Um, but then the other thing is that sometimes they say these things to protect themselves, but then when you're actually there on the scene, you're not required to do any of those things. I was asked if I
Oh,
would go clean shaven, for example, and I was like, I will trim, but I don't really want to completely shave my face. But come to the set, and they're like, no, it's not that deep. Don't worry about it. So
yeah.
sometimes you kind of have to use your gut instinct, know what your boundaries are, and kind of play the game a little bit as well. And I don't really know how best to describe that other than just have experiences where you can practice your intuition. Anyway, I digress. One of the things that I found that with that love scene was when that was being shot, there was something called an intimacy coordinator. And
I
I was
was
like,
gonna say, I was gonna
what?
be like, there would be an intimacy coordinator, right? When you said the love scene.
So I did not know that such a role existed, and I feel so happy that such a role does exist because
Yeah.
that is there for the safety of all the stars or the actors, I should say. That is there for the safety of all the onlookers, the directors, the producers, and it is in essence a choreographer who maneuvers ways in which you can make it look like you're being intimate without fully being intimate. You know,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
manipulate the camera angles and so on, and even there was a time when, so essentially my role is as a stand-in where I help set up the shots for the main actors who are there, right? When they're not in the scene. And there was a time when the intimacy coordinator wasn't around because they were actually doing the main scene that the actors were on. We were running out of time, so that me and the other stand-in had to kind of set up the new scene, which was getting more and more intimate. And I remember being there, and the directors and the producer at every step of the way. They were just setting up the angles, setting up the cameras. They were like, only if you're okay with this. Please do not like. Would it be okay if you just kneeled? Don't make contact with anyone. Don't talk to anyone. Like, don't
okay.
physically touch or anything like that. And some would say that that was still not okay. Generally, we felt really safe though in doing so because of
Yeah,
the tone, the location, the place,
yeah.
the time, and just knowing that person.
Comfortable. They made
Yeah,
sure you're like comfortable.
there was
Yeah.
so bro there was so much dignity there that I felt like really seen, and in a
Oh,
good way though, and I should say held. I felt really held, and I was more conscious about my co-star, female, young, because she was the only female there amongst male cast and male directors and producers and so on. But the care that they took into that, giving us that dignity was really, really commendable, I have to say. So there are positive moves as well, and I suppose that comes from things like the Me Too movement, for example.
yeah, definitely. I think Hollywood, I don't know, my minimal being an extra on that set, even though we were just extras, for me it was like a light bulb moment because I worked in a and I oh my God, I'm spilling way too much tea. I've worked in other stuff that's not Hollywood, let's just say that. And the difference, even though I was just
Does it
in we
sound like Hollywood?
next question. And the
This
difference,
is giving coffee with current.
hey, coffee with Karan. Yeah, no, Karan. So and the difference, even though I was just an extra, did you notice like everybody was so sweet to all the extras, making sure we're not cold, we've eaten, blah blah blah. I'll tell you one thing for free. You come here and you're an extra. Are bhat piche ho ja, piche ho ja, piche. Like literally, people will even if you're the star, not star, but like let's say you're up and coming and you're starring in some small little thing or whatever, like the respect with which they gave me as an extra on that set was mind blowing to me because I know here you'll only get that once you're established or like somebody's daughter. Like I can tell you for free. I can tell you that was like a huge thing that I noticed. So maybe in London it's a bit more I think people are maybe more considerate or in
And
Hollywood maybe they're a bit more
while we're slating Bollywood, like I have a friend who's in the she's a dancer and works in India. She's a white British female.
oh
She's performed on a lot of big Bollywood budget movies. You know the new song from Crew, Nena, with Diljit Dosanjh. She's one of
no.
the core
Oh
backing
yeah?
dancers in that.
Oh
She's done
wow.
Bade Mia Chote Mia. She's performed at Ambani wedding recent the
What?
pretty Sangeet. Yeah, yeah.
Bro,
And
Milwao, I want to learn how to dance.
she's based in Mumbai actually.
Oh my God, crazy.
That works. Yeah, I'll get you to follow her on Instagram and you can check out her work. But anyways, she is she tells me how uncomfortable she finds it that she's treated like royalty compared to some of the native girls, the native Indian girls who, and I say girls because the
Wow.
dance industry she works for is particularly female dancers. Um,
Yeah.
she says just the sheer difference between how I'm treated like royalty versus them, and I don't even know that language. You'd think that there's
Bruh.
more of a barrier with me, but no. And I just it aches me and pains me how much the white colonized supremacy
Bro,
runs through our blood.
first we need to decolonize our minds on a level. I'll tell you this. I went on a trip to Pokhara, right? I met this British guy. He was sweet, whatever. He's white. And then he started telling me, he's like, everybody treats me like royalty here, blah blah blah. I was like, come, I'll treat you like knocker. Come, come. Abhi aja beta. It's time to humble you. Literally, these people. We went clubbing. People are taking videos of him, pictures of him. I'm like, oh my God. And it's so annoying because it's like, I don't know. I think that British people already say what you want, but I think like the remnants of colonialism are definite and empire are definitely in the subconscious that they think that we're a little bit better or whatever. Then when they go on these backpacking trips thinking, oh, I built a school, da da da, da, then everybody gasses them more. So I'm like, no, that's not what we need to
Hmm.
do.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
mean,
I can totally imagine that your friend, she's here and she'll see I can imagine that they'll treat her well.
And she's deeply uncomfortable with it in that,
Yeah.
you know, because and it saddens me that the people who are doing it though are Indian themselves, and you'd think, come on, like we out here in the diaspora in British countries and American countries trying to decolonize, and you're just doing the same. We're out here doing God's work, and you're
Yeah.
counterbalancing all of that,
I think
doing the devil's work.
they think it's like a novelty or something. So that's why I think they're like, oh my God, Gori Bandi, Gori Banda. What they think
Yeah,
it's like a novelty for them or whatever. But yeah, I'm so sorry. Like I might have to what oh my phone is dead. Never mind. I'm
that sounds like
supposed to
Saisha. You never have your
yeah,
phone fully charged.
literally don't literally you just read me for all of my sins. I'm supposed to go swimming with my friends and they're like waiting for me. So that's why I'm like,
Okay,
wait, let me check the phone. No, but go on. Let's
let's
finish. Let's
yeah, we'll
keep
wrap this up
talking.
then. No, we'll wrap this up
No,
so
because
because
I feel like we didn't even really we barely got into I feel like there's more to be said.
oh, absolutely. But it's okay. At 12 o'clock in 1 hour, I've got another podcastee who I'll be interviewing for a different strength. But we're coming up to the end of our one anyways.
No, oh,
So
no,
thank
we're
you.
not. Wait, they haven't. I just checked my message. They haven't said anything, so I think it's fine. Or,
Brilliant.
but
We'll
you
be here for a
haven't.
little bit.
Yeah, let's be here for a little bit. Can I just get another coffee? Is that
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
sure.
Really
Let me hit
quickly,
pause. In fact, do
really
you know what? Here's
quickly.
a good time. I'll tell you what, when you're getting a coffee, I'm going to send you the link in this chat for the survey. Can you complete the survey? I'm going to
Okay,
go watch Sakalaban. I'm going to hit pause on this recording and then we'll come
Sakal.
back and we'll
Okay,
talk about all of this.
fine, fine. All right.
Okay, so Sasha's now got her coffee, I hope. I've watched Sakalaban and I am blown away by Sanjay Leela Bhansali's magic again. And Sasha also now has her 24 character strengths profile. So,
Wait, I'm a bit confused. Free results. How? Oh, free results. Okay, got it.
what's your
Oh,
number
that's
one?
so funny. You're not ready. Creativity is literally not there.
It's
It's
not in the top
love.
five.
No, it's not.
It's not in the top five. Your top
No.
signature strength. Okay, what number is it?
Funny, right? I don't like this survey, man. I want to redo it.
Sorry,
Love. I
which,
already kind of knew it would say that, I feel.
okay,
It
which
says
number is
love.
creativity?
The creativity is number 7.
Okay, it's not
So
too
for
low.
it's but yeah, I wouldn't anyway. Interesting.
So,
Love.
Sasha, I invite you to listen to episode one of the podcast when you get a chance, because when you're on your way to swimming, for example, it's a short one, but it kind of explains what the character strengths profile is and how it's not about maybe, ensuring that we don't typecast ourselves that this is my character strength and that's it, full stop. The important part to remember is these are your strengths right
Sure.
now in this moment of time, and they can change and they will change and they are adaptable. And it's also important to remember that the ones that are lower down, it can be quite tempting for us to think of them as weaknesses, but they're not. They're actually still strengths, you just don't use them as often.
Okay, got it.
Do you have any surprises at all?
Okay. No, actually, I'm not that surprised. Gratitude, zest, spirituality, love of learning, forgiveness, humor, fairness, hope. I'm reading, there's so many.
Mm.
See, the thing is, I think other people might put leadership for me a bit higher than I do for myself because it was like people look to you to lead things. See, I don't see myself as a leader at all, but then I noticed at this hostel that I'm staying at, when I come back, people tend to be like, okay, Saisha, what are we doing? So then, but I'm like, I don't know, what are we doing? Like, so I don't know. Okay, but I'll tell you my top 5 is love, valuing close relations with others, and particularly those in which sharing, caring are reciprocated, being close to people. I think that's valid. 2, bravery. Yes, not shrinking from threat, challenge, difficulty, or pain, speaking up for what's right, even if there's opposition, acting on convictions, even if unpopular, includes physical brave. Okay. 3rd, appreciation of beauty and excellence. Yeah, that's really true. I do appreciate the finer things in life.
We matched on that one. That was my third as well.
Was it?
Mm.
Oh, I love that. 4th, curiosity, taking an interest in. I think yours is one of the top ones will be like curiosity or learning or something. Curiosity, taking an interest in ongoing experience, blah, blah. 5th is social intelligence, being aware of how other people feel.
Nice. Okay, so we'll listen to the podcast. I mean, your episode, so our episode is number 6 because that's my sixth character strength, and yours is seventh, so quite similar there. So I've done 5 character strengths so far. That's now you get the premise of it. Sometimes it helps actually when a person doesn't really know what the premise of it is. You come in
Oh,
more authentically.
that's
So
so
that's why I do one
cool.
episode on each of my strengths. 24, that's why it's called
Oh,
24 in 24 because
that's
24
so
throughout
cool.
throughout the year of 2024, tapping into each of my own character strengths and getting to learn a bit more about myself through other people. Um, so we're going to be finishing off this episode by tapping into a little bit more of your wisdom. We spoke a lot already about we spoke about various different things, recreating what does creativity actually mean to you, as an expressive tool, neurodivergency, how does education stifle creativity? We spoke about some of your work, such as My Body is My Canvas, Phantasmagoria. Your most recent one, Dear Roxy, was just full of love, actually, considering that that's your top signature strength. There was so
Yes.
much gratitude and love in that, oozing out of it. I really, really liked that. It was like an ode to her, and just the montage of your editing was truly, truly beautiful. I loved every moment of that.
Thank you.
The other thing that you said was about how you think other people describe you as a bit of a leadership more than you describe yourself, and that's one of the things that I love about this as a coaching tool or a therapeutic tool, is that it can help build relationships. Because when I use it, for example, in my consultancy work in organizations, you might have an idea of what your character strengths are, but other people might see qualities in you that you don't necessarily see. So, for
Mm.
example, whatever your 24th is, we can ask other people around you, "Well, where or when do you see Saisha use that at number 24?" And then that can help you understand, okay, maybe it's not as low down as I think it is. And it's one of the reasons why I love it, is that it can change over time.
I think it's really true. Like, for example, I'll tell you one thing that I find really bizarre. A lot of people will like walk up to me, maybe my Instagram, or I don't know, maybe it just gives the wrong impression, or I just don't think I am. A lot of people who will meet me will be like, "Oh my God, you work so hard. You're doing so many creative things. You're doing this, you're doing that, or whatever it is." And I'll be like, "Really?" I'm like, I literally don't think that at all. Like, I think I struggle with this thing of like, always feeling like, oh, you're not working hard enough. You could be doing more. You could be doing more. Even if I'm tired, even if I'm whatever, I'll sit down and I'll edit. Like I'll you know what I mean? So I have this mindset of like it is not enough, you
Mm,
know? But other people have a completely different mindset. People who know me from uni, they'd be like, no, bro, you're studying, you're always da da da. So it's when you said that thing of like how other people see you versus how you see yourself, it can be very different. And how
mm.
you see yourself can impact how you'll behave, I think, a lot.
And that's why I
So
love
this,
this. Sorry, go on.
no, 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 go on.
That's one of the reasons why I like using the tool as a bridge between how other people and we see ourselves, a bridge between how we think we see ourselves versus how we actually are. It's just has so many far-reaching implications for it. One of the reasons why I'm going to be more interested in, especially when you're talking about bravery or social intelligence, some of those are a bit lower down for me. So it would be good to perhaps check in again and think about, well, how can I perhaps raise some of that? Because your top 5 strengths are pretty much, or the ones that are higher up, are the ones that come to you without really thinking about it. They're so second nature to you, and you're just like,
Mm,
yeah, it kind of makes sense. But the ones that are
yeah,
lower down, they're strengths, but they're not used as much. And perhaps it can help us be more creative. It can help us to achieve certain goals if we were to tap into them in a different way. And that's where the real challenge kind of like tackle comes in. And I'm kind of excited to explore some of those. Do you have any like in your bottom 5 that you think, oh, this would be a real challenge to try and maneuver around?
oh, okay. I would say 23, self-regulation. It says like regulating what one feels and does, being disciplined, controlling one's appetite and emotions. See, I think a lot of my creativity comes because it's unregulated. As in, like, I feel this way, I will make this song. I feel this way, I will do it. I do a lot of things that I do in life are based on how I feel. I think obviously there will be some kind of logic and some kind of, I won't just like get on a plane and go, I mean, okay, that video of Dear Roxy kind of might have proved that point where I was like, yo, this is gonna make a good story one day. Like, let's just do it. Went on this trip for this. But a lot of the things I do come from feeling. So it makes sense that it's like self-regulation. I can be disciplined, but only for like centered blocks. Like for
Mm.
example, for this Miss India thing, I had to lose weight and
Oh,
get
you're
fit
recording
and all
again.
of. Yeah, that's fine. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Oh, oh shit. It's fine though. I mean, if I get in, I get in. If I don't, I don't want. I had to like lose weight and like be super fit, and so I can do it because there's an actual goal. There's a reason. I can't regulate myself if I don't see a reason to.
Mm,
If there's
yeah.
no motivation. So yeah, but I agree with that. Perseverance, finishing what one starts. Yeah, I have so many unfinished songs, so many. But I think even though it's a lesser strength, I think I view myself as not finishing it because I'm a bit harsh on myself, but I know in the end I will get it done. Like
Mm,
like it'll take time. Like let's say I'll be like, oh, I want to have this song out. It might take a month, but it'll be out eventually. Sometimes I create false pressure for myself in order to make myself do it. Like my last song that came out, I announced that it would be coming out before the song was even finished. Because that way I would have to deliver.
I feel like we're the same person because first of all, my 23 is perseverance and my 24 is self-regulation.
No
And
way.
my last podcast, Screening Minds, I've been working on it for like months, and I started advertising it, and I even put the scheduled out before I'd even finished recording my last episode. So it was scheduled to come out on Thursday, the 7th of March at 12 p.m. and I was recording my last episode at 10:30 a.m.
I
So
love
sometimes
that.
actually it helps to just put those boundaries in because you know what, whether it gets the virality or the big audience, etc., that I want it to straight away or not, it doesn't that doesn't care to me. That doesn't bother me as much as having an unfinished project that just sits there
Yes.
with the whole
Oh,
idea of regrets of what could have been. I'd
and the
much rather
long
live. I'd much
and
rather
then
live with the regrets of well, I don't like the regrets of I could have done that rather than the regrets of I did that and I didn't like it. I'd much
oh
rather have done
God.
it and disliked it than not done it
Yeah.
at all.
And also, have you noticed like the longer you leave that project like untouched, the more guilty you feel, the more longer it will be. It's like a cycle.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I haven't edited that in a month. Okay, I feel really bad just thinking about the fact that I haven't done it. Okay,
Mm,
what's another month? Then you're like, oh, it's been 2 months. So it's like kind of like a bad cycle. So I know what you mean. But
uh,
sometimes, and you know what? The thing about being an artist, unless you have like an agent or you're like fully established in some way, there's nobody making you do this. There's nobody making you do this podcast, right? You want to do it. There's nobody making me make music. So that the hardest thing, as I said, is to do because you are holding yourself accountable. Nobody
yeah.
cares if you post, like, obviously your friends care and stuff, but like, you know what I'm saying? Primary person who has to care about your work is you, has
Yeah.
to motivate yourself is you.
And on the flip side, when your life gets too regulated, when somebody else is in charge of your calendars, and that might end up restricting some of your creativity and putting,
Creativity, yeah.
or it might give you more because someone else is looking after that part of things for you. It gives you more resources to spend on your creativity. But I think before we're even there, we spend so much time in this thinking phase and not the doing phase. And if we go back to what you were saying at the very beginning, which is, bruh, just do it, man. Not to be like brand promotion for Nike, as I always say,
Literally.
but it is literally just I'm a big believer, as I always say, my listeners will know, here he goes again, but do
Yeah,
the best that you can with the resources that you have, because
exactly.
that is a pathway onto doing something. It's certainly a stepping stone. And I look back now when I started my journey of business, for example, and I think if I had just kept it all on paper and done nothing about it, I would not be where I am today. And I'm
Exactly.
nowhere near where I want to be in terms of a final product, but I'm certainly closer.
Definitely. What there's this quote that I say, and it's like I live by it. Imperfect action is always better than perfect inaction.
Spot on.
It's
Yeah,
very true. This was so fun.
I
I
love
had
that.
an amazing time. I hope you got, I don't know, I hope you got some good content. If you
Absolutely.
have, do you have any other questions or like,
We're going to
what's the
wrap it up
vibe?
with one other question, which is just
Okay.
what happens. I know creativity is a strength for us, but I know personally I do get creative blocks sometimes. And that I to be honest, I've been on such a creative streak with regards to new ideas, business. And sometimes I get too much. I just don't know how to self-regulate it in. But what would you say is one of the reasons why creative block occurs, and how would we harness some more of that strength if it's not a strength for people? Let's say you're speaking to somebody who creativity is down at number 24. How could you
Oh,
encourage them
okay.
to harness some of that strength?
Okay, okay. So, how I would encourage them to harness that strength is to put themselves in an environment where they're usually not. That's like the biggest. Like go if you always go to a specific cafe, go the opposite block, sit down, observe people, people watch. Try and talk to somebody new. I mean, you're in London. I don't know if that happens. That doesn't happen there that often. But put yourself, go for an activity, go for a class, do something that is seriously like your friends would be like, what are you doing? Like, what? What? Because from, I think when you place yourself in a new environment with new people, with new activities, then you get new ideas. And that's like the root of what creativity is. It's newness, it's freshness, it's different. So try and do something that's different to what your daily routine is or whatever. It could even be just getting off at a different station a bit further and walking home. Going on walks is really good for creativity, I feel. Watching a movie in a foreign language that you don't speak. Something different is what I would recommend.
You know, when you said that, I'm like, well, duh. I saw like, there's no, what was so different to what she just said to what you do when you're feeling a creative block? But I would not have thought it unless I asked that question, which is a classic example of do something different. Here I was thinking, what do I tell my listeners to do in order to harness some of their creative drawing blanks? I ask you, and I get the most basic response that I already knew, but completely had wiped out from my head. And I think that's a real testament to people that the answers are deep down within you somewhere. That creativity is within you somewhere.
It
But all
is.
it takes is having that conversation for someone to hold a mirror up to you. And just like you did, you held a mirror up to me and recognized that this is something that exists, and you know, you have done this before. Change it up. I love that.
Yeah, it's within all of us. Literally just go on Eventbrite, find an open mic, find something to do. Or even, let's say like you're creatively blocked, you can use other artists for inspiration. Like you can look at their images or their music or something and be like, okay, what do I like? Analyze it. That's also helpful actually in creativity. What do I like about this movie? What do I not like? If I was directing this, how would I direct this scene? What are the strengths and weaknesses? Like, as you said, creativity and critical thing is like they're like cousins. So if you can create right now, then think critically. And from thinking critically, you'll create. My
I love
answer.
that. What a perfect ending to this wonderful conversation. I'm so glad we caught up and we vibed.
So after chatting to Saisha, I think we get a sense of that creativity. I did want to ask her what her creative process looks like, but I think from understanding the different material she already has on YouTube and the fact that she's creative in music and acting and in film directing as well, or filmmaking, I should say, that process doesn't actually look the same all the time. I think we established that we're probably not people who like too many guidelines, hence why self-regulation, perseverance might be a little bit at the bottom, but sometimes having a motivation is quite helpful. I think it's quite interesting to note that they are at two ends of the strengths profile, creativity and self-regulation on the other end. I'd be curious to know any other neurodivergent people in particular. Is that something that resonates for you as well? People who have creativity and self-regulation quite close to one another, does that exist as well? I'm really, really curious to know. So if that is you, you've done the profile, then let us know. As always, I like to set myself a little challenge, although I think I might not for this one, for two reasons. Number one, I think I'm on a bit of a creative streak as it is at the moment, hence why I have all these different projects coming around. And number two, I just want a bit of a break from actually creating so much, hence why I'm on a bit of a mission to just say no to new projects, new ideas for now, write them down, certainly create space for them. But at this moment in time where my resources are limited in terms of time, money, energy, I'm going to just hit the brakes on that one. So let's take a little recap and stock of what we have been doing so far in terms of our challenges. The first month, about spirituality and love of learning got me into listening to more podcasts about religious figures in the past from my own faith background that I particularly admire and look up to. And that's been going well so far. I use my commute time in order to do that. I think I'd like to be able to mix up the number of speakers or the type of speakers that I have. Just getting a range of voices and range of podcasts as well. So we'll leave that carrying on as normal. I think the second month's was love and appreciation of beauty and excellence. And part of the challenge for that was to get people that I love in my family and friends circle get them to do the character strengths profile so that I could build closer relationships with them, get to know them on a strengths-based approach, and build more of those bridges. So that's been ongoing, Saisha being one example, Shiraz from the last episode being another example, and I'm going to carry that on, actually, perhaps thinking about building closer relationships with other people, perhaps in my work world as well, and maybe also just getting people that I'm not particularly close with to do the survey, such as colleagues, so that, again, building professional relationships might help as well. This month, we've been looking at humor and creativity. And as I say, I think those are kind of top character strengths that are free flowing, don't really have a particular go-to method. They are lubricants for social relationships, and they are inspiring moments that occur. So I might just hit the brakes on it. I think it might be more useful when it comes to April, when I start my role as a lecturer again at university, where timetables will become a little bit more structured and rigid, and I may need a bit more creative juices and humor to get me through some of those days. So I'm curious to see whether that is something that we can tap into next month. For the time being, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, hit the like or subscribe button. Please do that so that you can stay in touch with the rest of this year's approaches to the character strength. If you haven't already done the survey, please go ahead and do that and let me know what your results are on any of the socials. Check out the other podcast on this channel called Screening Minds, where I talk about psychosocial themes in cinema. Check out YouTube, which also has the travel coaching that's still ongoing. All of these projects are just running along, casting the net open to see what comes back to people. If you like any of my work, then let me know, because it just helps keep up some of that creativity. Tell me what it is that you like about it so I can do more of that for you. And I will catch you on the next episode, where we're talking about gratitude.